Hey everyone, can find happiness amidst the rush of this fast-paced life. In a world crowded with countless faces, worries, and responsibilities, is it possible for Dee to grasp hold of his own dream? And ahead, will the path be lined with roses, or just another series of bumpy roads where unspoken emotions are waiting to be shared? Today, Dee felt each step he took on the long, winding road he had chosen, filled with obstacles, but driven by sheer determination. With every step, it felt as if he was shedding a piece of his past, leaving behind days gone by and memories fading into the distance. Today, he was at the courthouse, finishing the paperwork to close a painful chapter in his life, one filled with heartache and brokenness. But he knew that no matter how hard the journey had been, the most important thing now was the freedom he was about to reclaim. Standing before the office door, Dee took a deep breath, feeling the cold, sterile air of the courthouse surround him. "Hi, I'm here to file for divorce," he said calmly. His voice steady and the clerk looked up her gaze, empathetic yet professional. She guided him through the paperwork step by step, and as he completed each form, he felt a lightness in his chest, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. The process was quick and smooth, nothing unexpected. Still, he couldn't shake the pang of bittersweetness that lingered. He had waited for this day for so long, yet part of him still struggled to let go. As he walked out of the courthouse, there was a sense of relief, but it wasn't complete. A new life lay ahead, but deep inside, a part of him still clung to the shadow of his ex-wife, haunting him, never truly fading away. On his way home, Dee felt a strange pull, a familiar urge. He found himself stopping at his ex-wife's house. It was a habit, a feeling that had clung to him for so long, despite his rational mind telling him not to return. Yet deep inside, he held on to a faint hope, a quiet desire to see her one last time, to wrap up the loose ends, to finally end what was left unfinished. Her door stood shut, just like it always had. Dee stood there for a long moment, staring at the house. Maybe this would be the last time he stood here, the place where so many memories had been made, where promises had once been spoken. Now, it was nothing but an empty silence, the faint outlines of a past that no longer existed. He sighed softly, pulling out his phone once more and sending a message. Not filled with regret or blame, but just simple distant words, an attempt to close the door, to let the wound heal after so much time. He knew that whether or not he ever saw her again, life had to go on. But what he truly wanted was a final, clean closure so he could step forward on his own path, free at last. The calm, peaceful atmosphere slowly returned to Huyen and Maya after a long, quiet night. The sun gently peeked through the trees, casting dappled light on the ground below. Huyen sat down and took a deep, thoughtful look at their little home. Every corner, every table, every wall carried the marks of time, the traces of a life they had built together. In this moment, she could finally feel the peace that had wrapped itself around her and Maya. Maya, with her sparkling eyes, eagerly ran over to her mom, her little backpack swinging like a cherished gift. "Mom, will you come with me?" Maya smiled brightly, her grin as warm as the morning sun. Huyen smiled softly, took her daughter's hand and walked her to school. Maya's long hair fluttered in the breeze, and the sound of her laughter filled the small street. She loved these mornings, when it felt like the world belonged only to the two of them. At the school, Huyen waved goodbye to Maya, watching her walk into the classroom with a heart full of love and hope. Then she walked alone down the familiar path. The surroundings hadn't changed much, but within her, something small yet significant had shifted an inner peace after a long season of struggle. As she walked further, Huyen was suddenly drawn to a large garden ahead of her. A patch of young fresh turnips, their round, plump shapes seemed like gifts from the earth itself. The weariness in her body faded as she bent down, carefully harvesting each turnip, filling her basket with fresh produce. The weight of it on her back wasn't a burden, but a symbol of hope. She carefully adjusted the heavy basket on her shoulder as she entered the crowded marketplace. The smells of food, the sounds of chatter, and the vibrant colors of the market painted a lively picture all around her. Though the noise was overwhelming, she felt an unusual sense of peace inside. Choosing a quiet corner of the bustling market, Huyen gently laid out her fresh turnips for sale. The earthy smell of the vegetables blended with the air, a scent that felt like home. "Excuse me, would you like to buy some fresh produce?" she asked with a soft, sincere smile. As people passed by, some stopped to look, while others only glanced briefly. But for Huyen, every customer brought a small story with them, a piece of life she truly cherished. Each smile, each kind word, no matter how small, gave her the strength to keep walking down this challenging yet simple path, filled with small joys like this. He stretched slowly, feeling the muscles in his body stretch and loosen as if welcoming the new day, a fresh start. There was no rush, no noise, just a peaceful stillness in the air. He sat by his familiar little bed, smiling at the tranquil scene before him. The world seemed so calm, with only the gentle chirping of birds and a soft breeze brushing through his hair. How could everything be so beautiful? He wondered. After a moment, he reached for his old hat and the worn jacket that had accompanied him through countless sunny days preparing to step outside. But as he moved toward the door, his steps slowed. Thoughts started rushing into his mind like a strong wave, overwhelming him, leaving him uncertain. Am I heading in the right direction? Are the decisions I'm about to make the right ones? He felt lost, standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. The questions spiraled in his mind, and there was no clear answer. Could he find his own way? Or would he get lost in a maze of choices too complex to understand? This vague feeling, like a passing breeze, was gentle, but left him restless. Sometimes, he wondered if he had the courage to keep moving forward, or if he should stop and seek a simpler, quieter life, one without worries, without unanswered questions. But then again, maybe life only becomes truly beautiful when we face challenges head on and make the difficult decisions that push us to confront ourselves. Can anyone offer some advice? I'm feeling so confused and unsure of what to do next. These thoughts, they just keep swirling endlessly in my mind, and I don't know if I have the strength to move past them. Under the scorching heat of a summer afternoon, Dee stepped into a small, sprawling field, its rows of vibrant green crops stretching out before him. The sun beat down relentlessly, its rays searing the earth. It rained heavily yesterday. There must be plenty of frogs today. He thought, his eyes lighting up with hope. His steps were light as his hands searched every corner of the field. Each kneel, each firm strike on the water's surface felt like the rhythmic beat of hope. Sweat began to bead on his forehead, soaking his worn shirt. His hands moved like tireless machines, skimming swiftly across the muddy water. Then, in the stillness of the moment, a frog leapt up its body splattered with mud. Dee's heart soared, his joy spilling out uncontrollably. "Got one," he whispered under his breath, a grin spreading across his face, despite the fatigue creeping into his arms and the weight of his body. But that joy fueled him, pushing him to keep moving, to glide through every corner of the field, catching frogs one by one. Covered in mud, his shirt soaked with sweat, he still smiled to himself. Each frog he caught was a small victory, a reward for his relentless patience and determination. The feeling was strange, but exhilarating, full of happiness. After what seemed like an eternity, Dee's hands were full and he could catch no more. But his heart was full, brimming with joy. Sweat on his brow mixed with the cool drops of water from the pond behind his house. He hurried home, gently placing the frogs in a small corner before rushing down to the pond to wash away the mud, letting the cool water soothe his tired body. The water in the pond felt like a healing balm, washing away all the exhaustion. Dee scrubbed the clothes covered in mud, watching the dirt slowly wash away, leaving behind a refreshing chill on his skin, a renewal for both his body and his soul.
Xin chào các bạn thân mến, nếu để có tìm thấy trong cái tấp nập hối hả của cuộc sống này, liệu có một vài con người vượt về浪man để chạm tay vào giấc mơ của riêng mình? Phía trước liệu có phải là những con đường chả đến mai hay chỉ là ngã rẽ trôi dai? Trên kênh nơi những cảm xúc không ngờ đang chờ được chia sẻ. Hôm nay để nhìn nhận rõ ràng về bước đi mà trên con đường mà mình đã chọn, một con đường dài, chông gai nhưng đầy quyết tâm. Mỗi lần bước đi anh lại thấy mình đang rũ bỏ một phần vọng. Phần tháng ngày đã trôi qua, những ký ức đã bị lãng quên. Hôm nay để anh đến tòa án nơi anh sẽ hoàn tất tình yêu để kết thúc một chương trong cuộc đời, một chương đầy đau khổ và rực rỡ. Anh biết dù có bao nhiêu khó khăn, điều quan trọng nhất vẫn là sự tự do mà anh sắp tìm lại được. Trước cửa phòng làm việc để hít một hơi thật sâu, cảm nhận là không khí lạnh lẽo của tòa án đang vây quanh. Chào cô, tôi muốn làm giấy tờ ly hôn. Đệ nhẹ nhàng cất tiếng, giọng nói anh vẫn bình tĩnh, không vội vã. Như thể từng lời nói đều mang trọng lượng lớn lao. Nhân viên ở bàn làm việc